made out. In for a penny, in for a pound. I don't know what you're thinking at this point. This is just gone beyond crazy. This is just, I don't know what to say at this point. Stop falling over, stop rolling, pieces of shit. Stop rolling, stop falling over. Stop rolling. I will put you on the blanket if you don't stop moving. That's it. And you can stay there. Takes batteries, but it doesn't say AAA or AA. It says, well, actually, I don't know what it says. It says 2 of something. Well, you'll find it when you get it opened. You know, the factory tape was sealed on it. I don't know why they insisted on putting additional tape on it. Maybe it's to prevent it from people from getting in and out of it so easily. Oh yeah, some extra tape is really going to stop those thieves. Goddamn scalpers. Oh, it's the Gosei mic. Woo, whatever. That box smells strange. Is that what Hong Kong smells like? Don't pinch me. The only warnings on this thing, don't pinch your fingers between the thighs. Don't pinch your fingers between the thighs or in the crotch. Well, that's your fault, man. I don't even want to hear about it. And then don't pinch your fingers between the thighs. It's 3 different warnings for the exact same location. What? That is bizarre. Not as bizarre as a Roadrunner with Togepi and a walking, talking video arcade machine. What the fuck? But it is bizarre regardless. Oh, I'm actually going to have to open up the cards on this one. Where are they? I lost them. Where'd they go? Where are they? There they are. As I'm unpacking this, I can't help but wonder if some people were upset about it, some people liked the idea, some people didn't like the idea of Datus. Is it Datus or Datus? How is it Datus? I'm just going to call him Commander Data and get it over with. If it was a mistake for Saban, no. I'm sorry, Disney. If it was a mistake for Disney, no. Well, crap, now I can't remember all of a sudden. Was Megaforce? Oh, I called it Mystic Force earlier. My bad. Was Megaforce a Disney show? I can't remember now. That tells you how often I pay attention to Power Rangers nowadays. Like the last Power Rangers I ever paid attention to was Dino Charge, and people said it kind of fell off after the first half. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, was it a mistake for, or I'm contemplating whether it was a mistake for whoever produced Mystic Force. There it is again. I said it again. Mystic Force. It was Megaforce. There was a mistake for Megaforce to not include Datus. Well, they had the Wall-E look-alike. Oh, I guess that means it would have been the Disney era. Because Samurai was the first Disney series, but Shinkanger came out before Goseiger. Right? I'm totally confusing myself right now. Oh, don't tell me it's taped to the inside. Was it a mistake to not include Datus? I mean, we all know that parts of him appear when they form the, I don't know, the Megazord or whatever it was called, I don't know. There were parts of him showing, and the toys did a pretty awful job with the, I don't know, the Megazord, you know, Megazord, Megazord, Megaforce, Megazord, whatever it was. They did a pretty awful job with the toys. So, I'm wondering if Why don't you sit down so people can see your face, Ava? Was it a mistake for them to, I mean, it's not like they haven't repurposed Japanese-only characters. They do it lots. They did it with villains. They do it with... But was it a mistake for them to repurpose, or to completely ignore Datus? I don't know the debate that happened at the time when, what was it called? When, God, I keep wanting to say Mystic Force, but it's totally wrong. Megaforce. When Megaforce came out, was there a debate? It's been long enough. Was there a debate about whether or not Datus should have been in the show? Whether he was a toy or not, whether he was electronic or not, that doesn't matter. Should he have been in Megaforce? Why do I have Mystic Force stuck in my head? I never even watched Mystic Force. Mystic Force was Magi Ranger, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, it was, because it had that awful rap song. Ugh. Which I've intentionally tried not to listen to. Do I have to pull this as well? Oh yeah, I do. Multi-purpose cards, oh well. I've heard a number of people say that Goseiger would have worked well as an adaptation into a video game themed Power Rangers series. Mini-series, considering it only ran for half a season. I think having a video arcade, I mean, it's an interesting idea to have a video arcade machine as your mentor, or as an assistant to your mentor. I don't know, they could have done something interesting out of it. They could have done some super cheesy 1980s LCD display on the face. They could have actually have given him a mouth and rah, 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 rah. You know, they could have had to do all the... I mean, they could easily have summoned those 1980s and early 90s, you know, 16-bit video games or 8-bit video games, however many bits it was. I don't care. They could have done that easily enough, but for whatever reason they did it. They chose to do it this way for whatever reason. So can I store both of them here? I should be able to. Yeah, it looks like there's enough room. So I've got both cards. Yes. And if I remember correctly, yes, it only comes with 2 cards. But those cards are multifunction, so make sure you hang on to them. So here is Dadas in his passive video game mode, which they never treated him as a video arcade machine. He was just, you know, how he was lost on Earth for as long as he was and nobody paid attention to him. I don't know. It's kind of a weird scenario. I'm still kind of conflicted about it. The backstory of like, oh, he was in storage for years, and the Goseigers just so happened to take up residence in the oh gosh, what's it called? The astronomy lab, where he's being stored. You know, what? So his backstory, whatever, but... Oh, found a speaker. Speaker's on the side there. Looks like a video arcade machine to me, except for this thing. I wonder what it's like to see one of these in person. Actually go to a Dice Battle O, or is it Battle O Dice? Yeah, it was Dice Battle O arcade machine, and how these different things work. And you know, think about it. Even 6 years ago, video arcade machines, video arcades in general, are a dying art. Now, yeah, you've got not Jiffy Crap, Gashapon. You've got Gashapon and Pachinko, and you've got those, and that's all well and good. But how daring, and I'm asking, I'm not stating, but I'm asking, how daring was it for Bandai Plex Toei to promote a video arcade machine for a market that was moving away from video arcades? As a matter of fact, in my local town near Everett, somebody had the genius idea to open up a video arcade. Used to be in a holistic grocery store or whatever it was, kind of a Trader Joe's wannabe, except local owned. They opened a video arcade machine, and it's interesting because they have is it Xbox? No, they have a computer set up where you can run virtual reality games there. They've actually got two open floor areas where you can have two different players in different areas, and they've got the two handhelds, and they've got the infrared sensors, and they've got the headset with the earphones and the thing, and like virtual reality. And then there's maybe 24, oh, let's be more generous than that, maybe 36 video arcade machines, and there's a couple of them that I used to play. And there's arcade machines in there. Now, they don't have Pong, and they don't have the tabletop kinds, but they do have the, oh, what was that one? It wasn't Blade Runner, it was, what was that one? It was like you actually sat down on it like a motorcycle, but it had I don't know, two joystick controller thing. You could tilt them back and forth, and you could turn, and you go through all these tunnels, and it was 3D. I can't think of what that one was called. It was something Runner. And they've got maybe a half dozen pinball machines, some fairly old pinball machines too. I'd say even dating back to earlier than the 80s, maybe even some 70s arcade machines in there. But still, it's like, wow, a new in an old building, and none of the machines are particular. Oh, they also had off-road. That was fun. They have Rush San Francisco. I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, I learned how to drive on Rush San Francisco before I learned how to drive in real life. I'm not kidding. It was the greatest tutoring for driving I ever had. I learned to avoid traffic, and I learned to stay in the lines. No joke. Anyways, bizarre choice. Really was. Right, batteries. Let's see. There it is, and I'm going to have to pop that off. Well, let's see, who still has batteries in it? I recently went through a purge of all the batteries in my collection just because I haven't used them for years, so. I'd have to get some new ones. I'll be right back. AAA, by the way, 2 AAAs. As far as I'm aware, the Tensoder was the only toy that was released that could actually actively read Gosei cards. Which, if you got the, oh gosh, what was Gosei Knight's device called? If you thought in 2010 that thing can actually read the cards, oh, you were sorely mistaken. And I feel sorry for little kids who thought that it could read them as well, because it turns out it couldn't. Anyways, this does not read the cards, but the Tensoder does. So this will just blindly play whatever sound is up next on the microchip. I guess I gotta swap these out. I don't remember exactly what these cards do when you put them in. Now you've got the oh gosh, what's this called? Was this the hyper header? I think is what this one was. I don't remember. But anyways, you got the hyper header and the hyper Gosei Great. I think that's what this is called. Yeah, right. It's hyper Gosei Great. I don't know. It's not listed, which is strange considering how good they've been at it previously. I think it's hyper Gosei Great. I could be wrong. Well, yeah, but it's not like you've been watching the TV show for 2-3 weeks now. You shouldn't be able to remember that. I'll just go with his default eyes. He comes with 3 pairs of eyes. He comes with the default eyes, some angry eyes, and some, I don't know, worried, nervous, anxious, mortified eyes, I guess. Now, he comes with a lot more expressions in the show, but obviously they're kind of limited what they could do with only 2 cards. Should they have provided more eyes? Nah, I don't see any reason to. I've known, all along that the miniature, I know it's fuzzy, but they have the miniature Gosei cards of all 5 Goseiger up here, but I was wondering what the 6th slot is. It's just kind of a firework explosion. Explosion, Sky Power. Whatever it sounded like. Ted said it was loud whenever it used Skyke cards. Ugh. Anyways, here we go. You thought it was annoying in the show? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Did I put him in upside down? Oh, I thought he made a noise. You say we try that one again, huh? I'm going to say this on the real battle Daiso battle card game. I think this is where you inserted the cards, the Gosei cards, and whatever they came up with afterwards. Coin slot here, and not certain what that is. Anyways, you don't press buttons to make them sound. You actually turn this wheel here, which did actually turn on the arcade machine itself as well. Speakers on this side. Jeez. Lots of sounds, but no lights. That's unusual. I would have thought the center thing, like maybe it glows, maybe it lights up in the real arcade machine. But for whatever reason, this red transparent dome here doesn't light up. You would think it would. So they actually repeat randomly, it seems. So I've been turning clockwise this whole time. I wonder if it changes going the other way. Apparently not. You cannot interrupt them, by the way. It's doing that thing, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's doing that thing where the speaker volume is just loud enough, or it's at just the right frequencies. It's actually making the plastic shake. The sympathetic, you know that thing where you talk through your teeth and you can make your teeth, you know, that kind of thing? It's doing that. So it's probably played like the same. I have no idea what he's been saying here. So there's some happy expressions, some sad expressions, and there was that alert you just heard, a panic expression, and I don't know. He is a thing. It's now for the important moment. The real reason anybody bought him. Wow, that's a better spread than most Super Sentai Robos get. I mean, to be fair. Oh wait, no, I'm totally, I just screwed up. I just forgot. I was about to do the big reveal. I just realized I completely forgot about Datus by himself, which is simply this. Or maybe I can open his legs a little more. It's hard to tell. Eh. Oh, yeah, because, yeah. But if that's the case, why is there a tiny little ratchet? I don't know. I care not. See, do those? No. Okay. So obviously, it's not just for arcade mode, but you also have the sound effects when he's like this. And isn't he just the cutest little junkster? 45 degrees all the way around. He's one of those childlike characters that's saying desu all the time. What does desu mean? As I understand it, it's like... and this is just from me repeating what I've heard on YouTube from a couple different sources. It's like, so it shall be, or it is to be, or it is. It's something along those lines. Don't quote me. Don't use me as your source. Go find people who actually know how to speak Japanese. Well, that speaker really gets covered up by the joint. I'm surprised. I mean, there's holes in this panel to allow for the sound to go through, but then the only way you can hear it is to actually fold the arm upwards like that for the transformation. Point well taken. What did he say? I don't know. So, he's still kind of back. I guess you want to take these off when he's like this. I don't know. Just set him off to the side, I guess, and then you can just deal with him like this, I guess. I don't know, considering you have to put legs on top of legs, I guess, you know, the legs are going to be whatever. Can't complain too loudly, I suppose. I don't know. Although I just realized they put a really subtle arrow right there, so I wonder if there was something down here. Maybe this is where you get your change or your prize when you play the game. I don't know. Now for his bravery form, or his hyper mode, I guess. I can't remember if I thought, like, I don't remember how I felt about Datus originally when I saw the toy, and what did I think of him in the show? Well, he hadn't debuted in the show by the time I stopped watching, so I don't remember how I felt about him. How do I feel about him now? He exists. By the way, I'd like to point out with this, is it the bullet header, the hyper header? I can't remember what this is called. For this thing, a number of years later for Resha Sentai Tokyuja, they had a Resha, which is one of the train car things. They had one of the Reshas that had, I can't remember what it was called, like the Cannon Resha or something like, I don't know, I don't remember what it was called, where it basically folded in half, and there were 5 colored blaster cannon barrel thingies on the inside. I'm under the impression that this was the predecessor to that. Anybody else getting that vibe? Because it's got the 5 cannon barrels in the inside. And obviously you are supposed to attach it to a, what's that thing called? A Gosei blaster. I think you're supposed to. What's this used for a Gosei blaster? I don't know. But anyways, yes, you open it up and there's his face. It's totally fuzzy, obviously. Ah, that's how he knows. Okay. The little hidden switch, little tab right there. You push on it, and that's how it knows. Obviously, you can attach any header here, and it won't know the difference, but they did provide one, so. Of course, all of the sound effects are completely different at this point, but still triggered the same way.
Data Cipher upgrade! Data Cipher complete! Hyper Punch!
Christ.
一緒に戦おうぜ！ミスティックデータサイファーアップグレード！
Shh, you're not supposed to reveal that yet. No, Ixnay, no.
データスダイナミッククラッシュ！やったぜ！データスダイナミッククラッシュ！
Obviously, these rotate at random as well, so we've just had that one twice.
ハイパーパンチ！
That's his special attack or his finishing attack.
一緒に戦おうぜ！データサイファーアップグレード！やったぜ！データサイファーコンプリート！
I don't imagine I'm going to keep the batteries in this one for very long.
ミスティックデータサイファーアップグレード！
Again, spoiling it. So I think he's got like 5 or 6 phrases. And I wonder if this thing knows when it becomes Hyper Gosei Great. I don't think it does, but now I'm curious. He's kind of doing that weird Transformer thing where one fist or one hand is replaced by another one. Not quite sure how I feel about that. But it's a thing. Apparently he needs boxing gloves in order to be brave. That's a thing. I don't know. Now that I've got it in hand, I'm kind of starting to regret it. You mentioned it earlier. Whoa! What is it with the upgrade robos that every single one of them is bigger than Gosei Great? Every single one of them. I'm just now noticing this. Whoa, sugar crash. Okay. I'm not diabetic, but I did have a very sugary brunch, so I'm gonna have to. I might have to break before I get into the Hyper Gosei Great. But I just now noticed that like Datus by himself is not bigger, but wow. Okay, I'm feeling that. But Hyper or Datus Hyper definitely is bigger. And then Gosei Ground is bigger, and then Gosei Ultimate is bigger. What's going on here? It's like, considering your entire gimmickry is based around this thing, it's surprising that all the upgrades for it later on are actually bigger. Out with the old, in with the new? I think I need to go snack. Of course, it's 4 p.m., so it's bad timing on my part, but I need to go break. So when we come back, we'll start putting shit together. Okay. Now that I'm a few pounds heavier, I feel better. Or maybe a few silver pieces lighter. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Putting together. Alright, let's get the obvious one out of the way. File this one under one of the strangest, not stupidest, but one of the strangest Super Sentai combiners ever seen. And undoubtedly it is one of the strangest Super Sentai combos ever. And in case most reviewers kind of gloss over this part, put that down, pull that down. I'm still convinced they could have done something different with the head, but I'm about 6 years too late to complain about that one. And I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, was it Mystic Hyper Datus? Is it Mystic Datus Hyper? Mystic Datus Hyper was not the reason I picked up either the Mystic Brothers or Datus Hyper. It's just an unfortunate side effect, let's say. One of the strangest ever. For some reason they cover up his boxing gloves with more boxing gloves. Or maybe they shoot under... He's only done this twice. In fact, the most recent episode he appeared in, that I saw, he rescued the two Goseiger girls. Women, my apologies, the two Goseiger women. But he did it with this hand. He didn't have these. Or is that right? He might have used the boxing glove, because it shows he's got hands, but considering he's doing punching all the time, I suddenly can't remember if his hands were open or not. Anyways, this is the only other function of the Mystic Brothers, is to do this, whatever this is. It's a thing. You know, now that I think about it, the helmet headers have this unfortunate side effect of they have just enough room, you know, for the connection point, that they don't have enough room to have another panel fold down over the face or something like that, despite the fact that in the show there are panels that fold up, or the faces will flip around, or whatever it is. So if the hyper head, is this called the hyper? I can't think of what this is called, and it doesn't say on the box, weirdly enough. But you do have cards which don't have English on them. If the hyper header, if this panel, if this forehead piece, this crown, I guess, if it had slid down over his face, you wouldn't have needed to have this panel here, because it's just been covered up the whole time. In any event, that's a thing. How different is his head? Also brings up the question. You remember how I mentioned earlier? I was wondering if the Mystic Brothers were not if the Mystic Brothers had not been the only accessory mecha, not header, but the accessory mecha that they had planned on, but it just simply didn't happen. I wonder if those other updates would also have been applied to Datus Hyper as well. In terms of comparing the head designs, they're the same. I want to say that it is, like, I want to say that this does not, in the show, this does not come off and plunk up here. It's just kind of, it extends, but its face and forehead remain in the same position. I want to say that's what the case is, but as far as I can tell, they look the same. I mean, there's like the whole face detail. Now, the cheek guards are different, and the rest of the forehead is different, but the entire the swath of gold here looks the same. All the details and everything look the same there. So, but no, I did not get the Mystic Brothers just so I could make this. I actually, believe it or not, well, no, actually, it's not difficult to believe that I ordered all of these from one person, but originally I was just going to get this and the Siak and Landic Brothers, and that was going to be it. But then I looked at how many headers I actually had laying around all of a sudden. I've got 9 of these things, and, you know, not counting the egg, is it called the egg header? Is that it? Yes, egg header. Not counting that, I had 10 headers floating around all over the place. It just... So I ended up getting Datus Hypers so I could take care of that problem. In much the same way I picked up this guy to solve the problem of what am I going to do with these 3 accessory Zords, which just kind of sit loose around all over the place. It's actually a convenient way to store them all together. The disadvantage being, of course, you know, there's this, unless they come up, oh, I was just thinking maybe I could take the Orion ship header, Christ, the Orion ship, or the Orion Voyager, I think that's what it's called, and just plug it in there. Maybe I can give him a mace or something. I don't know. That's actually not a bad alternative. Assuming I actually buy the Orion Battler, that is. Mystic Brothers is so weird. I don't know. It's kind of like it goes all the way around from stupid to weird to cute to just kind of keeps cycling over and over and over. So it kind of gets to the point where you don't know whether to hate it or to enjoy it. So I'm kind of at the stage of like, oh, okay, I don't hate it anymore. So, actually, even back in 2010 when it came out, excuse me, I had no real ill will against the Mystic Brothers. So, weird, but didn't hate it. And that's actually the last time you see the Mystic Brothers is right there. Alright, you paid $108 plus free shipping. You better put it to good use. Here we go. Let's see. This goes away, never gets used. Oh well, I suppose it had to happen at some point. Oh, but I do have to know which order they go in. Something easy to forget. None of them look quite the same as the others. Girls on the outside, guys in the middle. Yeah. And for some reason this becomes a knee. I don't know why. That's a terrible knee guard. Speaking of terrible knee guards. I don't know why it is these two didn't end up here somewhere. Told myself I'd be able to do this from memory. Not as easy as I thought. Okay, so that's all of those, and already it's looking way bulkier than I want. You know, I forgot to mention, before I invested in any of these, I forgot that Hyper Gosei Great actually does the whole, Hyper Gosei Great does the terrible combined thing where you just slap one onto the back and that's it. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? The Bad Day America would have us think that this thing was made up of 3 motorcycles. In my original, in my recent Gosei Great review, I couldn't figure out there were a pair of slots on the top of his head, on the top of his head. I couldn't quite figure out what they were used for. Somebody pointed out, well, maybe they're used for the, what's it called, the Gosei Wonder helmet. Well, that kind of makes sense if it's as a repaint, which it very much is, because Gosei Alken? Eagle? Or is it Gosei? Oh, that was Wonder Gosei Great, I think is what it's called. I don't care. Anyways, there was also the idea that, you know, maybe this plugs into the top. Well, it turns out that's exactly what it's for. So, and, you know, of course I missed it in 2010, because this had not appeared by the time I had gotten Gosei Great. What's this called? Hyper Gosei Great had not appeared yet in the show. It had not been announced yet. Or if it had, I was intentionally hiding it at the time. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh! The number of dots, bullets, bumps, lights, whatever it is, on Hyper Gosei Great's head, the number of bumps here is equal to the number of headers that it has attached to it. I didn't know that. So for the first time ever, in my experience, I present to you Hyper Gosei Great. You think they ever considered Mega Gosei Great or Super Gosei Great? You think that ever crossed their mind? Ah. I want to see if his sounds change when it's connected. Something tells me no.
これはすごいカードです。
No. I don't think it sounds changed for Hyper Gosei Great, which is unfortunate. They could have had another button in there. Now there's one, aside from the fact that this looks ridiculous. I'm not going to make any bones about that. This does look ridiculous. Aside from the fact that this looks ridiculous, I actually discovered a flaw in this thing. There's actually a tiny little bit of stupidity that slipped through. I like to think that it's an engineering flaw, not quality control, and not a toy designer trying to make a money grab kind of thing. The left arm can move up, and you can open the hand. Claw, hand, whatever. And you can only extend it 45 degrees, because, well, the wing gets in the way. And you cannot move the wing up, because you will essentially unseat the dual shoulder cannons, quad shoulder cannons. That's especially as special. That's the reason I like the Destroy Gundams, because it has 4 over-the-shoulder cannons. But anyways, so that's all well and good. Now, it's not like combining robos have never had that problem before in the past, where you couldn't, where there's giant chest arm or something like that. Many of the Brave Saga robos, which are actually anime, not tokusatsu, many of the Brave robos have had this issue where they had giant chest armor or giant shoulder armor which would fold down or something like that, and it completely got in the way. Some of them you couldn't move. You might be able to move you might be able to move them at the elbow, but you couldn't move them at the shoulders. It was impossible. So that's all well and good. Maybe one of these days I should put that thing on camera to prove my point that I actually have it. Too much effort. Well, maybe next time I think of it. Here comes the flaw. Those Madmobile pods that I like so much on Gosei Shark, well, it turns out you can't tilt the arm up 45 degrees because the Madmobile pods bump into the wings. It doesn't even lock into 45 degrees. It's there. It can't do it. For as much of a, I hesitate to, oh no, I can't say brick, because this is not a brick. But for as much of a clusterfuck as this thing is, I haven't used that word for a while, as much of a clusterfuck as this thing is, you're telling me they didn't know that was going to happen, and you're telling me that they decided, well, we're going to invest the money in painting the blue plastic gray rather than making it out of gray plastic, saving ourselves some money, and then engineering some additional little joints to fold over. The dorsal fins on Gao Shark? They could have done the exact same thing here. And there was also Hammerhead, or Gao Hammerhead. There was Gao Shark, there was Gao Hammerhead, and what was that? Gao Saw Shark. Oh, Saw Shark, by the way. Well, I might as well do it while I'm here. Not like I'll ever do it again. Would this be Gosei Saw Shark? I don't know. If they could do it with the Gosei Wonder, they could certainly do it with these as well. Anyways, if they could do the whole dorsal fin fold-over thing, and it already has little water jet engines right here, the gold, why couldn't they do it with these Madmobile pods that I enjoy so much? No, instead they had to invest in gray paint to paint over the blue plastic that they, it's just such a mess. It's so... as much as I enjoy that one feature was actually really a good thing to have around. Oh, by the way, not just realized, but a little while ago I realized that all three, the Saw Shark and Hammerhead Shark headers, both also have little Madmobile underwater thruster pods as well. So these are actually redundant, whatever. But again, they could have moved out of the way. And by the way, they invested more time in moving landing gear, which are smaller, than they did in moving those out of the way. So the closest you will ever be able to get the right arm, which has the sword, by the way. I haven't seen this thing like really like engage in fisticuffs. It hasn't happened yet. That'll probably happen when Gosei Ultimate makes its appearance. You know, this thing will get its ass handed to it, and then they're like, "Oh no, we need a new Robo." Anyways, and you can't fold the wing forward because then that happens. So technically, yes, you can fold it forward, but okay, maybe you can do that. But again, you got to move it out of the way. So you can't tell me they weren't using computer-assisted design and drafting at the time that they designed this thing. That couldn't have been avoided in some fashion. That would be a case of lazy happening, right there. I got the Landic and Siak brothers because, well, I had the Skype brothers, and Skype was not bad. Maybe I should take a second look at the other two header sets, or the other two brother sets, and yeah, okay, you know, maybe it wasn't as bad as I let on, or maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought at the time. So I'll give them a go. Well, while I'm at it, I might as well throw in the Mystic Brothers, because why not? Because, I mean, the Mystic Brothers was actually less annoying and stupid than the other two brother sets were. So if I got these and I tolerate these, then there's no excuse at that point why I shouldn't have one of these. But now I've got 3 pairs of headers floating around all over the place. I should probably try and do something with them. So I ended up getting Datus Hyper, which also reinforced the reason for me to get this, because, well, you're going to get Datus Hyper. Hey, Ava, are you going to get the Mystic Brothers? Because you got Datus Hyper and you got Gosei Great. You might as well just finish it off. Something else. This is it. In a couple different ways. I'm still not getting Gosei Ground because, Gosei Ground, because I already had it, don't want it, saw it in the show, and I'm like, Gosei Knight's an asshole. I'm not gonna bother with that anymore. And then there was also, what was it? Gosei Ultimate. It transforms, but it looks like shit in either mode, and it doesn't look any better when combined. It's just like some swords. Really, that's all you. No. I would rather have it be armor that attaches, or I would rather have something like this, where you attach a bunch of headers all over the place. Maybe you could have had, maybe you could have had a halo on the angel mecha of some kind, like a giant halo on the back of it, and then, or Transformers, is it Armada? Yeah, it would have been Armada Unicron, where you plug in a bunch of mini-cons all over the rings. So you could have done that with Gosei Ultimate. That would have been something you wouldn't even have to use Datus Hyper. Have him hang around with this stupid helicopter hat trick. But now that I'm sitting here 6 years later, I wasn't planning. When I recorded Gosei Great, or when I recorded Skype Gosei Great a couple of weeks ago, this was not in like, I wasn't even considering this. I didn't even think of it. But I think I kind of got to the point where, well, if you're going to get this, you might as well get this, and if you're going to get those two, then you might as well get that, and if you're going to get that, well, you might as well just finish it off. With Gosei Ground, you don't use any of these. You use the helmet headers for Gosei Ground Gosei Great. That's not easy to say, by the way. It's not Japanese, but it's not easy to say. But I'm not gonna mess with that. I've already done that once. I'm not gonna do it again. So whatever. And Gosei Ultimate doesn't use any of them. When Gosei Ultimate appears on screen, everything that you see here gets discharged, completely forgotten about. The exception, of course, being for Ultimate Gosei Great, where you have Gosei Great just plugged in as a backpack, which is not the best, and there's not a lot of support, but I guess it serves its purpose. And really, at this point, I would say it kind of balances out the weight of Datus Hyper alone versus everything on the front of Gosei Great. You put the two together, and it kind of balances out. So if I were to remove see, how does this work? Yeah. If I remove this, will this fall over backwards? Nah, it won't. It's fine. So really, this supports its own weight. It's just a puny little thing. I do wonder about this joint here. How much sense it made to have a twisting joint for a support structure. Maybe I should ask Revenge of the Fallen Jetfire about his staff. Walking stick. Well, wasn't planning on it, you know, a month ago. When I, almost a month ago. But, here it is. Now all I gotta do is find a shelf somewhere to store these things. Gee, if only I had some motorcycles I could plug these extra headers into. Or jet bike, or what else could I call them? I don't care. Dare I say it's better than what we got in the US? Structurally, visually, no, visually. And you know, it's not airsoft where you turn a thing in the back and only 5 of them launch. You know, it's not something like that. Remember the ISIS Command Megazord? No, thank you. Kind of looks neat, and it's clusterfucker. Like I've had to deal with clusterfuck Megazords a couple of times, so I think the key thing for me in reanalyzing this disaster of 6 years ago, I think once I realized the analogy that was, I mean, if you take away the fact that these are the heads of animals, or bullets in some cases, bullet head, if you take away that, what are you left with? You're left with a bunch of accessories that can, each of them have their own unique little special feature thingy that they have attached to them. Individually, if it had been just one header in a box, or just one cube in a box, I may not have been as offended at the time. But again, it was the simple transformations and this is a clusterfuck Megazord, make no bones about it. That being said, I think once I realized the Hurricane's your analogy, the Karakuri weapons, Karakuri balls, I started to reanalyze and like, okay, maybe that makes sense. If I was able to, in my internal debate, if I was able to look at them not as the heads of animals, but just attack weapons, you know, you don't have to deploy them all 3 at the same time. It's expected, but it's not required, unless you want to follow canon. If I can look at them that way, then it'll work. Then it'll work. It's not one of my greatest combined forms. And honestly, oh wow, what's Ryutei Kirino? Isn't that good either? Still. But I don't know, what conclusion am I drawing here? I'm not drawing a conclusion, I'm drawing a blank. There's a vacuum running downstairs. Guess that means I need to stop or else it's going to cover up the audio. I'm going to stop because I'm starting to run out of breath. And I need to take this all in. So, anything else from Goseiger? Not Gosei Ground, or not Gosei Ground, not Gosei Ultimate. None of the weapons. Well, I have been taking a second look. I'm not one to collect the what are they called? The combined blaster bazooka ultimate weapon that the Rangers themselves use, the roleplay. I'm not one to collect those on a regular basis. In fact, the only ones I can think of are the Lifebird from GoGo 5 and the Dual Crusher from Bokinger. Those are the only ones I've got. and they're neat. I like them. As of this recording, I am taking a second look at the Gosei blaster, buster, thingy, whatever it is. I am taking a second look at that. Am I going to get it? At this point, I'm undecided. Am I going to get the US version? Fuck no. I would not have gone through all this effort if I could just get the US versions instead. I did consider getting the Gosei Great Megazord if it was cheaper. But, you know, an original DX Gosei Great was fair enough, you know, on eBay or whatever it is. So like, you know, I'll just get that instead. Why not? So I might get the, what's it called, the Gosei Buster, Gosei Cannon, whatever it is. I might get that. That's being debated. I'll let you know by the next time I post a Super Sentai video or something like that. I should have a decision by then. Okay. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.